question. How did I get involved in this, or how did Healthy Home Habitats come about? So life does unusual things to us, right? We have these amazing adventures, and I came into ownership of a 1900s home, a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home. I need a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home like I need a hole in the head. And I happen to be a person who is very committed to finding ways as Americans to live with much less environmental impact than what we are doing right now. I really truly believe that our lifestyle has caused the tremendous destruction throughout the entire world. So if that's the case, maybe there are ways to make different decisions every day that could have less impact. And if our collective actions cause that type of damage, then couldn't we make different decisions every day that could collectively begin to heal all of that damage? And so the house here became the opportunity to illustrate what are the types of steps that people can take. A 4-bedroom, 2-bath house became a duplex. So now 2 families live in this house. The first family is in the front and the second family is in the back. The house went through a New Hampshire Saves high efficiency evaluation and has now insulation in the attic, insulation at the sill plate, insulation within the walls to make this older home as crazy efficient as it can be for what it needs to use. So that was the second important step. 2 families and now crazy efficient in terms of its energy use. So I pay $14 a month for the last 2 years for electricity, which is 80% of my heat.
Feed it back to the grid, or do you
It feeds back to the grid during the summer. I don't have a battery pack, so if the whole thing goes down, I go down too. But from an efficiency standpoint, I used a half a tank of oil this past year, and hopefully I'll do the same thing this year. So that, along with lots of other things, you can see my laundry hanging there. I have things inside and outside, and all kinds of other measures that have been taken that really allow for dramatically less impact on a daily basis. So it's kind of fun to share that with people.
Well done.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Good morning.
Very nice to meet you, Nancy.
It's a pleasure.
Welcome to the Healthy Home Habitat House.
Thank you.
This is a 1900s home that has been renovated in a way and the property managed in a way that allows people, and in particular this family, to live with less impact on the earth and to make choices that allow us to help to heal the earth collectively over time with more efficiency, more diversity, and in particular today we're going to talk about having our pollinators be more healthy. We have reason to know that our pollinators are under very nasty distress because of the lack of the amount of available locations where they can have plants that they can derive nectar and pollen. And that is the reason why pollinators need more pollen and nectar. We have pollinators who live here, but they're having a tough time. And because we have so much lawn, which doesn't have flowers for pollen and nectar, and because we have so much pavement, the pollinators that we need don't have enough of what they need. Today's workshop is about feeding those pollinators, in particular the bumblebees who come out of hibernation with no honey stored. These guys have honey stored, and when they wake up, they've already got breakfast. However, the bumblebees do not. And so we're using non-native bulbs to provide that early nectar and pollen to get them going for the season in a healthier way. So spring flowering bulbs. I have chosen 8 in particular that are deer resistant, because many of us live on properties where the deer come and graze because they're hungry too, that are critter resistant, that don't taste so wonderful for the squirrels and things who look at this and say, ooh, yummy lunch. We don't want them to do that. We want those bulbs to bloom. So this is a list of 8 that we'll walk through. The first one is Eranthus. Eranthus is, the common name is winter aconite. And you can see the size of the bulb. It's a tiny little bulb. But you can also see the bloom here. It's a green bloom with a green foliage, a yellow bloom with a green foliage below. It likes to be a little bit in the more moist spots, and it starts all the way in March. So it's a very early, one of the earliest ones that there are. And it is followed by another. Galanthus is snowdrop. Snowdrop is a white bloom, and you can see it's a slightly larger bulb. The other aspect to all of these bulbs is that they tend to naturalize. Given the right circumstances, they will spread over time. You can see they're tiny little bulbs. This is crocus. Crocus are purple. They also come in whites and oranges. Once again, a fabulous source of nectar and pollen, and they will spread over time. Tiny little bulb. Another one is called Glory of the Snow. And Glory of the Snow can make a beautiful carpet of these colors, the whites, the lilacs, and the blues. And it starts to verge more into April. Teeny tiny little bulb, but that can have a fabulous impact over time. Another one for the blues. The bluest blue that we have for these spring flowering bulbs is called Scilla. And Scilla has the ability as well. All of these bulbs are very low bulbs. They're 2 to 4 inches. And Scilla is more in the April as well. This particular variety is called Spring Beauty. Deep, beautiful, vibrant blue. We know that the bees like blues. They are attracted to blues, so that makes them very happy. Luckily, and probably importantly, the early spring bulbs that we're talking about have those colors that are the most attractive to the bees, which works great. Then they get their nectar. In relationship to all of the rest of the pollinators that we have, as we come later into the season and they need more food, we have our species tulips. Many of the tulips have been hybridized to the point where literally the proboscis of the pollinator cannot get in to get the nectar and the pollen as nutrition, but the species tulips have the ability, because they're very simple blossoms, that are accessible to the bees, which is great. The species tulips have the ability to naturalize. They haven't been hybridized. Regular tulips come once a year, and that's it for our area. But the species tulips, much more simple bloom, just basic petals, and very useful for all of the pollinators. In this bag are approximately 12 bulbs, and what I've done is given you a variety. There's a sheet of information with a picture for each type of bulb, and it shows what they look like, and it also shows planting instructions. So if you set those down, and I will just tell you for your own information that the largest bulbs, these are the species tulips, which are nowhere near the size of the hybridized tulips that we see all the time. You know, they're almost as big as our hands, but these are the species tulips. The size just a little bit down from that are the snowdrops. The snowdrops. So we have the species tulips first, and then the snowdrops. And then we have, what is this? I think that you might have gotten an extra one. So these are Galanthus, these tiniest ones, kind of still a tulip shape. And then you have some crocus, blue crocus. Do you have a blue crocus picture?
I believe so.
Okay, so there's a blue crocus picture as well. So these are the bulbs that you can plant at home in a sunny location that gets some moisture. Yeah, you've got, do I have it? Oh yeah, there's the crocus picture. Okay, so take these home and find a location, hopefully that you can see from inside the house, because they're going to be blooming during the period where you're not necessarily out and about, you're not gardening yet, but you want to be able to see them. And it's a place that you don't want to mow. Remember, the catch to bulbs are that you have to let the vegetation go through its whole processes, and as long as those leaves are green, even though the flower's all gone, you have to let them keep going until they turn yellow, because they're building energy for the next year.
Very good.
So those will be for your house.
Thank you so much.
Where and how do these bulbs thrive? We're going to look at the situations and some some opportunities where bulbs can do very well. They need full sun. Luckily, this is the time of year where they can easily have full sun, because in the first of the spring, none of the shrubs or trees have their leaves yet. Even the perennials are still sleeping below the ground. So it's not hard to find a full sun circumstance where these bulbs can have their bloom and then still store energy for the rest of the season. However, they need to have moisture, but not be in a wet space that holds water, or they'll just rot. So we're going to go to a location over here and plant some bulbs and see a location where they would work well. We are in an area that is a perfect example of how a particular space can be good for planting bulbs, even though you wouldn't think so. So right now we have shade above us. We have a maple tree and we have a dogwood here, but in the early spring there is no vegetation. So it would have full sun, and it has a decent amount of moisture in this particular location. So we are going to talk about some of the tools that are involved in planting bulbs. Number one, in the bigger bulbs, you want something that can allow you to use your weight and not just your wrists. So we have two different styles here. Actually, Nancy, can you grab that other one too?
Sure.
And these are both the type that allow you to stand up and to, if you want to just try that there, and to put your weight on this edge here and to jump down and see if you've hit a rock, then you'll have to move to a different location. Yeah, that's fine. But both of these, try another location. Okay, and that's about all you need. So if you pull that up, twist it a little bit. You can twist it a little bit first. You can see that there's a plug of dirt in there. And I have a plug of dirt in mine. And you're going to tap it upside down. You can tap it upside down to take that plug of dirt out. And we are going to, count that? We're going to take a bulb here. We're going to put it in the ground. Actually, mine needs to be deeper. I've got this, you can see I've got a little piece on here that decreases the depth. Actually, can I use yours? I don't want to take this off right now. So you're going to put that bulb in the ground with the roots facing down, because we want the roots to go down and we want the tip to grow up. And then you're going to put that plug of dirt back down on top of it. Oh, I've got a root here. That's what I've got. All right. I'm going to twist this to get this out. Take this plug of dirt, because I want to use that again. All right. Set that to the side. Take the bulb, put it roots down, and put this plug of dirt back on it. Our purpose is, and for me to make some sense out of the design basically that we're creating, we're going to put a flag as a piece of metal with some plastic on the top right at the location where we put this bulb. And we'll talk a little bit about why we would do that later. But that is how you plant the larger bulbs, like the daffodils. Daffodils, or some of the tulips that are larger as well. We haven't focused a lot on those, but I want to make sure that we look at the method. So that being done, we'll leave those there. We also have those little glory of the snow bulbs. Teeny tiny little bulbs. And for that, just a regular, this is a narrow hand shovel would be the easiest way to do that. So we're going to go, actually we'll go right around this other white flag here. And these, in general, you're wanting to plant bulbs 2 to 3 times the depth of the bulb itself. But the statistics and the research has shown that it's actually not that crazy important. Once again though, the flat part of the bulb goes down and the tip part of the bulb goes up. I'm going to make it just a little tiny hole. I go back and forth just to open up that space. Drop this little bulb down in there. Cover it back over with the soil. And boom! These are teeny tiny. So you're right there with one. I'm right here with another. Let's put another one right here. and another one here, and another one here. In general, the best effect is to 3s, 5s, and 7s in an area, and then you use another area, 3s, 5s, or 7s, so that you have a concentration of that color, and they'll spread and replicate over time and naturalize, but you get a much better effect than doing one here, one here, one here, one there. You want them in groups. So we now have our Glory of the Snow, which is going to come up in March, April, right? We talked about that. And the daffodils not going to come up until the end of April.
One of the advantages of clustering the individual flowers is that the bees will come and forage on the same flower over and over and over again, and rather than sending them to a variety of locations, you're putting the source in one place.
I didn't know that. That's new information to me. Huh, thank you.
From the perspective of a beekeeper.
One of the wonderful opportunities that Healthy Home Habitats tries to encourage for residential homeowners is the fact that we don't need grass, or we can have grass, but that there are lovely other plants that can help us to build healthy soil, that can provide color every year, that can provide habitat for all of the pollinators, as well as all of the insects that feed our lovely songbirds. This is a wonderful example of a front yard that has no grass, never has to be mown. And we're using the spring flowering bulbs to extend that beautiful season. Here we have all different types of ground cover, perennials that bloom throughout the season. These are normally hosta that are thigh high, and these, at the moment, these particular colored flags represent different types of spring flowering bulbs that will show up in sequence starting in March. Normally the perennial plants don't really start until late May, June, but the orange flags in this case represent the scilla, that beautiful blue blossom that we talked about earlier, so that those pollinators, not only the bumblebees, but all of them, can find their nectar and pollen. The pink flags are for crocus that come just a little bit later and tell me where those colors are going to happen. And then the red flags are the locations, they're actually between the euchra, the coral bells plants, are the locations for daffodils. Now daffodils are not pollinators' favorite plants, but they'll use them if they need to, and we're looking to have backup sources. That's one of the things that we're looking to do here. So it offers a wonderful way to lengthen the season of perennials, to enhance a home and communicate to other people all the different things that you're doing as a homeowner to help our local ecosystems. This house now allows me to communicate and offer options to other regular homeowners as to things that they can do every day to live more efficiently. As a landscape architect, I obviously started on the outside, and now I help to design diverse, pollinator, abundant, healthy, regenerative gardens. Less grass, less chemicals, less mowing, less weeds that we consider plants that we don't like where they are, but that actually have uses. So diverse, healthy gardens. That's the gardens that I can provide to people who are interested, and we're doing that throughout the region. It's really exciting. But the secondary aspect is the house. The house has gone through the efficiency that we talked about, and I took the opportunity to put 27 solar panels on the house. Those power 2 mini splits inside for electric energy that the solar panels feed. That provides 80 to 85% of my heat as well as my light, the standard uses of electricity. And the furnace, which the house came with, provides just a little bit. I used half a tank of oil last winter. So my electric bill of $14 every month, which allows the solar energy that's gathered during the summer to be stored and used during the winter, covers 80% of my heat as well. That is a huge potential financial impact for a family. Now, that is a 15.5-year payback to buy those solar panels, to buy those mini splits. And to me, that's worth it. Everyone has to make their own decision. The house also offers all the other different types of, I'm working on the foundation, the basement, and the types of utilities inside the house that allow for dramatically less energy use. So it allows me to offer interior energy efficiency and energy saving options as well to potential clients. And it became a little consulting business called Healthy Home Habitats, because that's what we're looking to do, is to create a healthy place for your family with healthy food and healthier choices that can help to collectively heal the world. You can find Healthy Home Habitats on Facebook. Each one of these experiments, I've been working on interior storm windows. Instead of covering windows with plastics all the time, I'd make posts on Facebook, Healthy Home Habitats. There's also a web page now, healthyhomehabitats.com. You have to type the HTTP first because they don't know who that is yet. Google doesn't know. So today we talked about the notion of a first feast for pollinators. Planting spring flowering bulbs that can actually provide nectar and nutrition and pollen to those bumblebees waking up with nothing to eat. They didn't plan for breakfast ahead of time. And you have the ability to go out and find some of these bulbs. You can look on the website or look on the web page for the actual names or contact me, but you have the ability to plant some of these bulbs right now. This is the perfect time, and have something to look forward to this spring after a long winter that we are anticipating coming ahead. Feel free to contact me, but go out, find some of these bulbs, put them in the ground. It doesn't have to be perfect. They're going to do the best they can, and you're going to see whether your experiment worked and try it again next year. Please feel free. It's all right to play. weight on this edge here and to jump down and see if you've hit a rock, then you'll have to move to a different location. Yeah, that's fine. But it gives you an idea.
That's fine. I just gotta change because you guys screwed up.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. So that's fine. Go ahead.
So both of these, try another one. Okay, and that's about all you need. So if you pull that up, twist it a little bit, you can twist it a little bit first. You can see that there's a plug of dirt in there. And I have a plug of dirt in mine. And you're going to tap it upside down. You can tap it upside down to take that plug of dirt out. We are going to, got that? We're going to take a bulb here. We're going to put it going to come up in March, April, right? We talked about that. And the daffodils not going to come up until the end of April. And so we'll talk just a little bit more about the sequencing in a minute in another location.
Okay, so what I wanted to tell you too is, Nancy, you could chime in on that, because when we plant things for pollinators, like you were saying, 3, 5, and 7, everything is in mass. Never one here, one there, because the pollinators will go out. Like, say one bee goes out, that bee is going to go to all monkshood or whatever. It's going to go to all
He's going to do
crocus.
his dance to say go
Only-
to the monkshood.
Exactly. And they're going to bring back that one kind of pollen and only put that pollen in that one place. So in a hive, you're going to see all different colors,
Oh,
but that's why it's
interesting.
not all like mixed. It's
Interesting.
yellow and brown
They're
and purple.
harvesting. Well, you must have seen that when you went. Where did you go traveling? Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's interesting. Normally, the perennial plants don't really start until late May, June. But the orange flags in this case represent the scilla, that beautiful blue blossom that we talked about earlier, so that those pollinators, not only the bumblebees, but all of them, can find their nectar and pollen. The pink flags are for crocus that come just a little bit later and tell me where those colors are going to happen. And then the red flags are the locations. They're actually between the euchra, the coral bells plants, are the locations for daffodils. Now, daffodils are not pollinators' favorite plants, but they'll use them if they need to. And we're looking to have backup sources. That's one of the things that we're looking to do here. So it offers a wonderful way to lengthen the season of perennials, to enhance a home and communicate to other people all the different things that you're doing as a homeowner to help our